Welcome to Unholy Health, episode 6. Episode 6. And today, it's not just the two of us. It's me, unnamed, and Amber is joined by Luke.
We have a special guest because today we are chatting about intermittent fasting, which I don't have much experience with. I don't know if you do. Have you done much of it?
I've done it. I've fasted like 3 times.
Yeah. So Luke's experienced intermittent faster.
Yeah, I would be now. Started back at uni probably, sort of when I was 20, so maybe 8 or 9 years ago now.
Been doing it consistently since then?
Yeah, found it pretty life-changing at the time. So
Yeah.
Do you use different, like have you tried different sorts? You've got like a particular way you do it?
Yeah, so over the journey I have tried all sorts of types, but now I just do what's called OMAD, so the 1 meal a day. So basically just have all my calories in like a 1 or 2 hour eating window, normally in the evening, and then, done for the day. So
all your calories in 2 hours? And like always zero outside of that, or there's a bit of...
I'm pretty relaxed with it now, but I'd say probably, most days of the week it would just be all in a 2 hour window. But if we're out for lunch with family or stuff, I'll just, eat. But I'd say at least 5 days a week, it's pretty hardcore.
When we first met, it was black coffee until 6.
Yeah, it was pretty
hardcore.
Full on there. But I've loosened it a bit now.
And how did you get to that being like what worked best for you? Because you said you tried all those different sorts of fasting.
Well, I've always been interested in health and fitness, so always been looking at, well-being type of things that you can do. Always like trying new things. And when I was at uni, we actually, as part of my college experience, we had breakfast and dinner catered for, so only 2 meals. And I thought, I might try this fasting, and they normally recommend doing like 16 hours fasted and an 8 hour eating window, and you have like 2 meals to get your body used to it. So I thought, I can have breakfast at 10 and dinner would open at about 4. So I just ate my dinner at 4 and they were my 2 meals for a day. So I did that for maybe a semester, and that adjusted my body to, I stopped snacking and stuff and just had the 2 meals. And then, did that for a bit. And then from there, I went home over Christmas, one holiday period, had 3 months there to just try doing 1 full meal a day. And I just, found it, changed my brain and all sorts of things. But I'm sure we'll chat about that at some point.
Changed your brain. That's interesting. Have you done longer stuff? Like were you like a day, 2 days, 3 days?
I've done a couple of 3-day fasts, 3 to 4 day fasts. Haven't done longer than that. We've done a juice fast as well.
Yeah, that's as far as I need something.
That's a bit different.
I need something. I can't do nothing.
But I've gone probably, the longest was maybe 4 days without calories, like just water and coffee.
Amber, you said you've only done the juice, like you've never, what's the longest you've gone with Luke, like not eating?
I tried doing the intermittent fasting thing when we first met. I tried because he raved about it. I think because I come from a past of restriction and almost disordered eating with modelling, that I have this almost scarcity mentality with food. So once you tell me I can't have it, it does something where I just can't cope. Whereas if I accidentally fasted because I've been busy all day, then I'm fine. But having this regimented rule of you can't eat till 6 just does something to my brain. So it's the opposite. For him, impacts his brain positively. For me, I would probably overeat more than anything, because then I've got to now get as much in as possible versus getting in my normal daily calories. So I tried it a couple times, but it was not for me.
Question for both of you, it's kind of related, but if you could not eat, like if you could take a pill, or there was a fad a while ago where you'd buy like these, it was called Soylent, I believe, and it was just like a complete meal in like a bag. If you could do that once a day, would you like that, or that would be like, no, disgusting? We're
foodies, so we're opposite to you. Another reason he said he used to do it was because then you get to eat more at night time, like that excitement of having like a Christmas feast.
Oh yeah, being able to have, say my maintenance is 2,500 calories or whatever, being able to eat all that in one meal, it's basically 3 meals in one. I really enjoyed that part of it as well, knowing that I could just splurge and
That's definitely interesting because that's I don't know if it's biological, psychological, or there's such a difference there that if you said to me, like for example, if I go to a restaurant and they do a degustation, where it's like 8 courses or something, I dread it. Leading up to it, it's just like, oh my god. When I sit down to have a meal and there's like lots of food and you have to eat it, about halfway through, I'm just praying for it to end. Like that. That's actually how I.
That's my dream scenario. That's amazing.
I wonder then if that's something that should inform how different people should approach this.
Possibly. I mean, I did a lot of research before trying it, so I kind of knew some of the signals I was looking for to see if it had an impact. And the biggest thing was apparently to do something to your brain, like your neurons and stuff would fire more when you're in that fasted state beyond 16 hours, like the ketosis state. Yeah, when I tried it over that summer period, I was doing my thesis as well that year, and I was tennis coaching as well at the time, so I was pretty full on, and I just found I was able to attack every day full of energy, like more energy than I've ever had, and my brain was clear. Everything was really good during that period.
And then if you're doing a 1 meal a day, after that 1 meal, can you do work or focus after that, or that's kind of...
No, I can, yeah. I don't get any sort of post-eating sluggishness or any of that.
But you eat fairly clean as well. It's not like you just go and eat anything. You are pretty then strict about what you eat.
Yeah.
It's a lot of protein.
Haven't always been though, like, because as I said, I've done this OMAD for probably 8 years now, and if my calories are like 2 pizzas or something, that works. But at the moment, I'm eating pretty clean.
Yeah, God, 2 pizzas. I can't remember the last time I cried, but I'm pretty sure if I had to eat 2 pizzas, that's going to be the outcome. Like it's
that'd be like happy tears.
I cried too. Yeah, I cried too out of just pure joy. But
what other positive effects or negative effects? Like what else works about it?
Well, other positives are, I think autophagy is the term. It's when you're in that ketosis state, your body consumes cells for energy, and that's like fat cells, but also like the underperforming damaged cells. It'll eat that first because that's the easiest to get rid of. So apparently that's really good for your internal regeneration and health. But I'm not super familiar with science, but yeah, just brain's on fire. I seem to work out better. Autophagy, things like that are good. I'd say downsides would be the social aspect of it. Like, if you want to go out for breakfast or go grab a drink or something for lunch, you can't really consume calories if you're doing it properly.
Does it affect exercise?
Yeah, I find it has helped because the same way I was able to study better and focus better, with exercise I found my running was a lot clearer because I was really into running as well when I was doing it. So I started running half marathons and things, and I found I ran better and performed better when I was, fasted 10 to 16 hours than versus having a meal, digesting for 2 hours and going on a run. I found that was a lot worse. So
yeah, the one positive I got out of it was that I didn't have to stress about having a stitch, having to digest food, having to potentially deal with if I eat something that my gut doesn't like. I knew between the hours of waking and 6 p.m, my gut would not impact my day.
Is that just because there's no food? I mean, there must be food. There must be digesting something.
Yeah, just food during the day. I think it depends what sort of gut issues you have. My gut issues are pretty severe and they come on really suddenly. So if I eat something that my gut doesn't like, it's instantly, I'm a write-off for the rest of the day. So if I don't have that issue and I know I've been smart about what I eat at night time, if I wake up feeling good, I know I'm going to stay feeling good until 6. And when I have so much to do in a day, I know it's not going to be impacted by something I've grabbed to eat because I'm in a rush and I grab what's convenient versus what I should eat. Because I'm a convenience eater during the day. Instead of at nighttime, I think about what I'm eating, but during the day, I'll just grab something and then I can pay the price for that pretty instantly. And then the rest of my day is done.
Luke, what happens if, let's say you have your eating window, if you filled it with, how many calories do you do?
It depends if I go on a 15K run or whatever, but say maintenance is about 2,500 calories.
Right. So if you ate 2,500 calories of, I don't know, like butter or Mars bars or something, well, have you ever tried anything like that? And how did you feel?
Ice cream.
Yeah, I used to. Well, I still do love ice cream, but don't have it much now. But yeah, I used to have like the worst days would be probably a pizza and a liter of ice cream or something, and that'd make up my. And that's after coming back from a half marathon or something. So I probably need 3,500 calories just to get maintenance. But so yeah, in terms of like body weight, it's just calories in and calories out. So it wouldn't affect that, but you certainly miss out on all the micronutrients and, you know.
Yeah, I was just wondering how do you feel worse at all if you eat like rubbish in that period or versus eating good food?
Yeah, definitely feel dreadful after consuming. What would that be? 200 grams of sugar and a bunch of saturated fat, and yeah, you don't feel good, but sometimes just had to treat myself.
And what happens if you eat a lot of calories like outside that window? Do you like?
Yeah, so it's interesting now because my body's so adjusted. The idea of breakfast makes me sick. Like if I had to eat now, I couldn't do it. Like I just the thought of it and then trying to do it, I would feel probably like vomiting. So.
Right,
because my body's so used to its eating window starting at 4 p.m, 6 p.m.
Does stress or anything like that affect your appetite or eating like desires?
Yeah, I would say it does, but I don't. Not to the point like if I'm stressed in the morning, I don't feel this craving to eat. So I don't think it affects. It doesn't change when I'll eat, but I just think in general stress would affect people.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were someone who ate a lot when you were stressed or didn't eat at all when you were stressed, like if you're in that bucket, if you got to your eating window and you didn't want to eat, would that cause problems? I'm not sure.
I guess it would, wouldn't it? If you didn't, I guess you'd have to just do a 2-day fast, which has its own benefits.
Because you've done 3 days of no food.
It was 2 days. Was
that just because for health benefits or just...
I have a very good friend that does quite a lot of fasting, and they're usually longer fasts, so all kinds of durations, but, she'll do 16 hours, 2 days, 3 days. It really depends, and, yeah, convinced me to try it. When I did try it, it was around last year, and last year I was having some stomach problems, which those have disappeared and they were unusual. So I did try it for that really long one when I was having those stomach problems, and they fixed it while I was on the fast. But once the fast was over, I started eating again. Not immediately, but it sort of came back.
Did you break your fast with broths and fruit and all that, or did you go back to just eating normally?
I broke my fast with sauerkraut.
So you did that properly. Because I think that's one thing. I know I don't. A lot of people come off their fast and either go back to eating the way they were, or because they've fasted for 2-3 days, treat themselves with something that pizza or greasy food. Whereas you were really smart about, okay, I'm going to break this fast with something.
Yeah, one thing I've learned about, I don't know if this is my body or just generally good, but even if I eat a meal, I don't eat the high calorie stuff first. So if I have a plate and, for example, it was just vegetables and meat, I'm starting with the vegetables. And I do, often if I'm going to go and eat and I think the food I'm going to eat is not great, because, one of the things I eat too much of is burgers. So if I'm going to go get a burger, I will open the fridge and I keep sauerkraut in the fridge all the time. Some of them are rubbish. Some of the sauerkrauts, they're nice, but the supermarket ones aren't as good. So I get a naturally fermented, whatever they call it, bioorganic, some shit like that, sauerkraut. And so if I'm going out to have a burger, I'll actually go to my fridge and I'll eat sauerkraut beforehand. The other thing I used to always do, I always keep all bran in the pantry as well, and I'll eat that first thing in the morning or sometimes before a meal as well. I don't know if there's any science behind this at all, but I definitely find my gut is happier if I'm always because I know if I eat, it can vary a lot, but for example, eggs, if I go and I only eat eggs, my stomach is going to hate me for the rest of the day. But if I eat something else and then have an egg, well, I should be fine. So it's kind of, I don't know exactly what it is, but something about getting that, something else into my stomach makes a big difference.
I was actually listening to a podcast a few weeks ago about food combining, I think it's called, where they talk about that, of foods that you combine and they are easier on the stomach, or it's the foods that you should combine to be able to get all the nutrients. And then the flip side of that as well, of foods you should never combine, or foods you shouldn't stack on top of each other. Like, I think obviously they were saying cooked vegetables digest really, really quickly, whereas raw vegetables digest really, really slowly. So say you were having cooked vegetables, have that at the start of the meal, so then it doesn't get stuck with slow digesting foods. So that was really interesting, but that was one of those things where I do go, how much thought can you put into eating before eating is no longer fun? Like, I don't want to have to sit there and eat my, like, I like picking around at my food. I don't want to scoff that, and it is great for digestion, but it's like eating became a bit of a puzzle. And that's where I think my thing with intermittent fasting comes in, of at what point is eating no longer fun, because now I have these rules. I think I just don't do well with rules. I think my issue is the rules thing, the more I think about it.
Right. So for you, the more, if you regiment food too much, then it just throws you out of whack.
I would say that's Amber with most aspects of life. She doesn't like being governed or told what to do.
Because even like now, like trying to fix my gut issues, like I know the foods I shouldn't eat, and I don't even really want those foods, but the second you tell me you can no longer eat those, all of a sudden it's my favourite food. And I not only want a little bit of it, I want a ridiculous amount of it. So I think when you were saying about personality types and fasting and stuff, I definitely think that does go into it.
Well, that's and this is my take on most of these things, and kind of what we try and talk about. Well, at least on the podcast, we generally try and talk about, just being sensible and not doing extreme things, and being a little bit skeptical of everything, and lots of things work, and also like what works for the individual. So what I see around the place sometimes with and what we see with all kinds of things, intermittent fasting can be one of them, where you might see some, I'm just going to say some dickhead on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, saying that if you eat this time and then not for this time, all your problems in life will be solved and you'll be superhuman, and you'll be like, that's kind of the, like treating it like it's going to solve everything, and it's going to solve everything regardless of who you are, or, how your body works, or what your life is. So that's where I think it's important to be really skeptical of absolutely all the shit that we hear. Of course, there's good research for positive effects from intermittent fasting, and I think, like everything, it has to be a tool that you can choose to use where appropriate for you, and then you could also not use where it's not appropriate for you in different circumstances.
One thing I think I've always sworn by, when you say about like on TikTok and people say doing this will cure everything, and we were saying last podcast about supplements, how people treat supplements like medicine. I think the biggest thing I've learned from social media, and having tried everyone's practice on social media under the sun, the one thing that has made the most benefit to me is journaling. And not a lot of people talk about it, because I think it's the one thing you can't make money from. You can't make money from mindfulness. So it isn't as spoken about on social media, and I think digestion starts in the brain and all that sort of stuff. But when someone's talking about intermittent fasting, they can follow that up with selling a workout course, or they can sell you a meal plan of what to eat during that intermittent fasting period. I think social media, we need to always remember, a lot of what is sold to us is because they can make money from it. The things that you can't make money from, like mindfulness, I think can be the most impactful, but you won't ever hear about it as much because it doesn't serve the person telling you about it as much. That's my one thing I've learned from social media.
You can't make content, like controversial content about it, can you? You can't make bold claims, and it's a bit too boring for...
Yeah, and I mean, sex sells. So often when you see people talking about intermittent fasting, they're standing there in a sports bra or shirtless, showing off their abs, and what they're selling you is you can look like me. What you can't sell is this is how my brain looks. I'm really clear-minded. I have less anxiety. It all sounds good, but we live in a time when people want to look a certain way. That's my biggest thing, is that you do see all these things, like you say, on social media that people say will heal your life. But often it's being sold to you for a reason, whether it's they want more social media followers or they're trying to sell you a product or something like that.
Yeah. I guess it's like when supermodels release workout videos and you're like, I'm pretty sure it's because you were born genetically gifted and not whatever stupid workout routine you're trying to sell me that makes the difference for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
5-minute morning ab routine.
Yeah, and that's going to make you 5'10" with legs that come up to your hips. Like it's 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say the other thing I think that's very important if you're interested in trying it, you have to give your body that chance to adapt. A lot of people will they'll have their normal eating routine and then they'll go and just try a 1 meal a day fast for a couple of days and realise that they're sick and hungry and then they just dismiss it. So what I did for that semester, where I went to 2 meals a day and then I closed my eating window to 4 hours and then 2 hours, I think you've got to give yourself that genuine chance to get to the point you can do 1 meal a day and then see how you react to it.
Yeah, okay, so like work into it and figure out how it's going.
I also think for the average person, if you're not a massive eater and it's not triggering, if you try intermittent fasting, I think a lot of people should be tracking their calories. Because I think one thing a lot of people would be doing is getting to the end of the day, their bodies aren't used to eating all their calories in whatever period of time it is.
Window, yeah.
They'll be full and then it'll be a week or so and they say, I'm exhausted, I feel like crap. And it's because they're malnourished and under eating. I think you've got to be so aware of what you're eating and making sure you are hitting all your macronutrients and all your micronutrients. Because that was one thing when I tried it.
Yeah.
I wasn't tracking my food. I felt like crap. I then did it tracking my food and I was like, holy shit, I am not eating nearly as much as I think I am. And even though it's not for me, once I was tracking my food and making sure I was actually nourishing my body, it was a whole lot more enjoyable.
A lot of people would just go and eat their one meal as if it was a normal meal they'd eat 3 times a day, but they'll go and just have one meal and then they've had 1,200 calories and that's it, and they wonder why they're sort of sick and hungry and
feeling like crap.
Yeah, and that's for me been a big deterrent to even trying to do it more often, because I can't sit down and eat 2 pizzas, right? Like it's just not happening. And so I just eat that meal and it would be smaller, and with the amount of exercise I do. I already have a problem. I'm always trying to basically my whole life I've been trying to put on weight. Like that's how my body is. It's just annoying for me. Some people say, I wish that was the case.
I was going to say, everyone on social media would be thinking, I wish I had that problem.
Yeah, it's not a blessing. It's actually I can see why people think it would be. That then comes down to the individual needs to figure out what fasting they can do, because if they can't eat a big meal, then I guess they've either got to learn or they've got to fast a different way.
And two pizzas is probably an easier way to get your 2,500, 3,000 calories. But if you're eating healthy food, it is actually very hard. Like, I challenge people out there to go and eat 3,000 calories of genuinely healthy proteins and stuff. It is very difficult. It's a lot of food.
Do you eat it in a sitting? So you've got 2 hours. Do you? Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
For 2 hours straight.
How much, when you're eating reasonable healthy food, like if it's steak, vegetables, I don't know what else you'd have with it, maybe some carb in there somewhere, how much food is it?
Yeah, so...
I guess to be fair, you don't really eat vegetables.
No, I do. I do, yeah.
You have some steamed vegetables, but it would be really hard to do if you were eating a salad.
Well, that's because there's barely any.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it's being smart about it.
But even the meat, like you'd probably need close to a kilo of meat. Not that I have that every night, but I mean, last night what did I have? 6 lean rissoles, probably 300-400 grams of chicken fillets, and then some other stuff too. And I underate yesterday, so I probably only got to 2,000 odd calories.
You'll eat a lot of oats as well.
Yeah, then I'll often have I'll often have dessert in the same meal, but that dessert will be oats, Greek yogurt, berries, nuts. So that'll add sort of 600-700 calories as dessert.
Yeah, okay.
But it definitely takes time to adapt to that as well, eating that amount of food. It'd be like if you tried to go vegan to see how that affects your body.
Yeah.
If you only did that for a week, you probably don't really know. Like you'd need to do it for 6 months to really see how you feel.
Yeah, it couldn't be salad because I just did some maths, and if you ate lettuce, it would be 160 lettuce heads to get all those calories. And that's a lot of lettuce to eat, so I don't think so.
Yeah, so if you're someone that likes eating a big salad, you're going to struggle. You've got to kind of like your grains, and you eat a lot of eggs and protein toast and...
Yeah, eggs. Yeah.
I
think to your point earlier, like, I think with dietetics and nutrition in general, there's so many things out there, but I think you just got to find what works for you. I think it's this industry where there really isn't just a best solution.
You know, your lifestyle may affect you. Like I'm pretty sure if you're going to run an ultra marathon, I think you're going to have to eat during it, and you couldn't and the way they eat is very specific to that event. And I imagine if you're depending on if you're a shift worker, you have to change the time of day you eat. I imagine, if you're pregnant, that probably affects things as well. Breastfeeding, like there's all kinds of life circumstances, and not only body types and personalities and brain chemistry and stuff that's going to affect what's going to be good for you. And like you said, it depends. Like takes time to get used to it. So I think the biggest thing that we all forget, I guess we don't really forget it, but human bodies are so incredibly adaptable, and the problem we've caused for ourselves is that we've managed to adapt ourselves to stuff that's just really unhealthy. Like, who would ever think that drinking 6 2-liter bottles of Coca-Cola a day was going to be good for a human being? But there's people who do that, and their body adapts to it. And of course, when your body adapts to that, it's going to be a body that's not very good for anything else. So yeah, understanding that the body's adaptable and it'll adapt to what you give it is important as well.
I think what you were saying as well about different body types, one thing that there is so much awareness now is for women eating according to where you are in your cycle. So I don't know enough about it, but they say with workouts, the foods you eat, the times you eat should be adjusted to that. More and more research is coming out with. So potentially females shouldn't just copy what works for men because hormones are so drastically different. So I think that's one thing as well to be aware of. If someone is a man and saying, this works for me, amazing, and they have such a more consistent monthly routine, then you have to listen to that too and go, okay, potentially for my body, when I'm on whichever part of my cycle, waiting to eat until 6 o'clock instead of eating when I wake up, if my hormones need 20 grams of protein within an hour of waking up, probably isn't going to be good for me. So maybe if I do intermittent fasting, it's something I do week to week versus a consistent thing I get my body used to forever.
Yeah, I should have had my friend on. She does intermittent fasting a lot and is very deliberate about where in her cycle she is in terms of what the fasting should look like.
Yeah, so that I think would be really interesting.
Yeah.
See, I don't think mine probably isn't even intermittent fasting anymore. Like I just eat one meal a day. Whereas I think intermittent fasting traditionally was like
the 28 and all that
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, and then you go back to your normal eating routine. but I've just adapted to this one meal a day.
Just how you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's maybe it's not anything like it's just part of your life, right? So it's
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's a wrap on episode 6.
Episode 6.
Very good.
That was a good one.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. See you guys.